It's Friday night. The phone rings. You already know who it is, and you already know what you're going to say. Sorry, I'm not going to make it. I'm feeling a bit off today. You hang up, lie down on the couch, and you feel, not guilt, relief. Pure. Immediate. No explanation needed. And the part you never tell anyone is this. You weren't feeling bad before the call. You started feeling bad when you realized you'd have to go out. What the people around you call an excuse, you know it isn't. It's just that the right words never existed to explain it. What is so often misunderstood about people who prefer to stay home is that they're rarely running away from the world. Almost always, they're running towards something, toward an internal state that the outside world simply cannot provide. And that is completely different. We live in a culture that treats sociability as a virtue. Going out is synonymous with living. Staying in is synonymous with wasting. So when someone consistently turns down invitations, cancels plans, prefers a Saturday alone over anything else, the assumption is that something is wrong, that this person is shy, closed off, maybe even sad. But what if the story is exactly the opposite? Psychologist Hans Eysenck spent decades studying why different people need such distinct levels of stimulation to function well. What he found goes against what we naturally assume. The nervous system of some people responds to the same external environment with significantly greater intensity. Noise that sounds normal to one person processes as too loud for another. A casual conversation that drains zero energy in some people costs something real in others. It's not a choice. It's architecture. And this architecture has a name: sensory processing sensitivity. Elaine Aron, a researcher at Stony Brook University, documented that about 20% of the population exhibits this pattern, and that it is not pathology, it is variation. It's how the nervous system was built. For these people, home is not the absence of life. It's where the noise finally stops and where they can, at last, hear their own thoughts. But there's something beyond neurology here. Think of a child, maybe even you, who grew up in an unpredictable environment, not necessarily traumatic, maybe just very full, very loud, too many people with too many demands at once. Within that kind of environment, the bedroom becomes the only controllable place. Home becomes the only safe place. And safe doesn't mean the absence of physical danger. It means the absence of any need to perform, to adjust, to monitor how others are reacting to you. It's like a muscle that learned to relax in only one place. And when you spend your entire childhood and adolescence training that muscle, when home is where you process what happened during the day, where you recharge, where you finally get to be yourself, the pattern doesn't disappear in adulthood. It deepens. Developmental psychology researchers suggest that attachment to domestic space as an emotional regulator begins exactly there, and that the more the external environment in childhood demanded constant vigilance, the deeper the bond with internal space becomes in adulthood. Home becomes an external nervous system, a place where the body knows it can switch off alert mode. From the outside, it looks like distance. In reality, it's what happens when someone learned early that the external world costs energy that the internal world can't replenish on its own. It looks antisocial. In reality, it's highly selective. And there's an enormous difference between not wanting any company and wanting this specific company in this specific context for this limited amount of time. It looks like laziness. In reality, it's a sophisticated form of resource management. Boker and colleagues published research showing that the tendency toward voluntary solitude is associated with greater creativity, better emotional regulation, and greater clarity about personal preferences and values. It's not an absence of energy. It's the deliberate application of it. And here's the part nobody really likes to hear. It feels like rejection to whoever extended the invitation. And that is real. It's not imagined by the person on the other side. But it's also not the intention of the person who stays home. These are two truths that coexist and are almost never explained, because explaining would require the right words for something that for most of a lifetime had no name. What these people carry that almost no one sees. The constant question of whether they are normal enough, whether they should want more, Whether the fact that a perfect Saturday includes no other human being means something about who they are. The silent effort behind every outing. Not because they hate people, but because every interaction carries a real energetic cost that needs to be recovered afterward. The guilt that shows up uninvited when they turn down yet another invitation from someone who clearly matters. Let me be honest for a moment. This isn't about the person who stays home being difficult or closed off. And it's not about the people around them being insensitive either. It's about a type of functioning that culture never named as legitimate, so it remained invisible to everyone, including the person who has it. And here is the paradox that defines this pattern. These people often have an extraordinarily rich inner life, complex thoughts, vivid imagination, a profound capacity for connection when the right context appears. And at the same time, they can spend years feeling misunderstood by the people they love most. Not because they don't know how to communicate, but because what they need in order to flourish is the exact opposite of what most people use as proof that life is being lived. Both things are true. And this is where I refuse to give you a clean answer, because there isn't one. The tension between needing solitude to be yourself and needing connection to keep from disappearing entirely. That tension doesn't get resolved. It gets learned to be inhabited. And perhaps it is precisely that tension that defines these people. What I want you to take from this, whether you're the person who cancels plans and never quite knew how to explain it, whether you're someone trying to understand a person like that, or whether you're somewhere in the middle still figuring out where you fit in this story, is this: preferring to stay home is not a flaw. It is a way of being, one that psychology is only beginning to understand with the depth it deserves. Home is not where some people hide from life. It's where they truly live it. If you're somewhere in this story right now, still trying to find words for something you've always felt but never knew how to name, you are not alone. Not even close.